In October of 1925, up in the Balkans, a soldier's dog got loose and went trotting off up a mountain pass. And the soldier went after him, like you would, only the dog didn't know where the line was, and the fellow on the other side of it didn't know about the dog. 11 days later, there's an army sitting in another country, 50-some people in the ground, and the League of Nations called into emergency session in Paris over a dog that nobody ever saw again. Pull up a chair. Let's set the record straight. Now, before we get to the dog, you got to understand the fence he ran through. Greece and Bulgaria, two countries sharing one mountain range in the year 1925, and not one good feeling between them. They'd been fighting over the same stretch of ground, Macedonia, for near 30 years, fought over it in the Balkan Wars, fought over it again in the Big War after that. And when the Big War ended, the winners sat down at a table in France and drew the line where they wanted it drawn, and Bulgaria, being on the losing side, didn't get a vote. Trouble with drawing a line on a map is the people don't move when the ink does. So you got Bulgarians waking up in Greece and Greeks waking up in Bulgaria and everybody feeling robbed. Now that right there is the whole Balkans in one sentence, and I'll not pretend otherwise. And on the Bulgarian side of the line sat a town called Petrich. Now on paper, Petrich belonged to the government in Sofia. In practice, Petrich belonged to an outfit called the IMRO, Macedonian Revolutionaries, and they ran that whole district like their own little country, their own taxes, their own men, their own rules. 2 years before all this, the Prime Minister of Bulgaria, a fellow named Stambolivsky, got the notion that maybe Bulgaria ought to quit fighting with its neighbors and try getting along. They took him out of his chair in a coup, and then the IMRO got hold of him, and he did not survive the disagreement. So, that's the mood on this border. That is the temperature of this fence line before any dog gets anywhere near it. Which brings us to the 18th of October, or the 19th. The two sides can't agree on the day, friend, which ought to tell you something about how the rest of this goes. Greek border post up on the Bells Range at a place called Demir Kapu, Iron Gate. And there's a dog, somebody's dog, a soldier's dog, the kind of dog that attaches itself to a post full of bored young men and never leaves. And on this particular day, that dog decides he's got business over yonder. So the soldier goes after him, up over the rocks, past the marker, onto the other side of the line, chasing a dog, thinking about a dog, not thinking one solitary thought about the Treaty of Neuilly. And the Bulgarian sentries up above see a man in a Greek uniform coming up their hill. Shots get fired. Nobody's out there to say who fired first. Now, I knew two men down our way, lived fence to fence, hadn't spoke a civil word in 9 years, started over a survey stake and just kept going. And one summer, one man's dog got into the other man's tomatoes, and I want to tell you the sheriff came, over tomatoes. Except it was never about tomatoes, was it? It was about 9 years. The dog just happened to be the one that walked up and knocked. Hold on to that, 'cause we're coming back to it. And here's the part folks skip past when they tell it funny. When the shooting up on that pass was done, a Greek captain was dead, and a sentry with him. 2 men, before anybody in any capital knew a thing had happened. Bulgaria puts a white flag up that same day, says it was a misunderstanding, says they're sorry. And then they do something near reasonable. They propose the two armies put together a joint commission, Greek officers and Bulgarian officers, side by side, go up on that mountain and figure out what actually happened, which is, near as I can tell, the last sensible idea anybody has for 11 days. Because sitting in Athens is a general name of Theodoros Pangalos, and Pangalos ain't the prime minister exactly. He's a man who took the country in a coup a few months back, and had not yet got around to calling himself a dictator, though he'd get there. And a man like that has got exactly one thing he cannot afford, and that's looking soft. So he says no to the Joint Commission, and instead he sends Bulgaria a bill and a clock. 48 hours. Punish the men responsible, apologize, official, in writing, and 2 million French francs for the families of the dead. 48 hours. For a country to investigate a shooting on a mountain, identify the men, try 'em, and wire the money. Now, you don't set a clock like that 'cause you expect it answered. You set a clock like that 'cause you already know what you're fixin' to do when it runs out. Now, here's where folks get it twisted. Everybody loves to tell this one as the War of Dogs started. Cute little dog, big dumb armies. Truth is, there's two versions of what happened up on that pass, and they don't match at all. The dog story is the one that got in the newspapers. A Greek soldier wanders over chasing a stray and gets shot for it. But the official Greek account never mentions any dog. Greece said Bulgarian troops came across onto their side and hit a Greek outpost, and Bulgaria said plain that they never set foot on Greek ground at all. There were no witnesses, none, just two soldiers and a hillside. So the dog might be true, and the dog might be a newspaper doing what newspapers do. Either way, friend, the dog is not the reason. The dog is just the part of the story small enough to hold in your hand. And I'll tell you the thing that gets me, and it ain't in a single book. Nobody wrote down what happened to the dog. Not his name, not whether he come back. 2 countries went to the mattresses over that animal, and not one man in either government thought to ask after him. Anyhow, 48 hours run out on the 22nd of October, and Greece crosses, not a raid. 2 Army Corps ordered to that border, and troops pushing near 10 mile into Bulgaria, taking villages as they come. No declaration of war. Nobody calls it a war. It's just an army in somebody else's country on a schedule. And the folks living in them villages, who did not shoot anybody and did not lose a dog and had never heard of Demir Kapu, them folks put what they could carry on a cart and got out of the way. Now, Bulgaria's got a choice here, and what they do is the most interesting decision in this entire story. They'd lost the big war. The treaty had cut their army down to 20,000 men. Greece could put more than that in the field without missing them. So Bulgaria could fight and lose big. Instead, Sophia sends orders to the front that just about go against every instinct a soldier's got. Hold your positions. Do not advance. Do not fire unless you are fired upon. And then they picked up the telephone and called Geneva. Mind you, the IMRO didn't get that memo, nor would they have honored it. Their bands dug in on the roads to Petrich, and men from all over that district came in to stand with them, veterans, farmers, whoever had a rifle. Petrich was fixin' to be defended whether Sophia liked it or not. And the League of Nations, which up to this point in its life had mostly been famous for writing letters, actually moves. Briand of France is presiding, and he calls that council into session in Paris and wires both capitals. Stop, both of you. Come to Paris and explain yourselves. And here's the closest call in the whole business. The Greek army was staged and ready to take the town of Petrich itself. Guns laid, orders cut. That telegram got to Athens a matter of hours before the attack was to go in. Hours. Papers around the world went ahead and printed that Petrich had been taken. Reuters had it. It was in the evening editions. The assault never come off. The news beat the news. The League orders a ceasefire, orders Greece back across the line, and, this is the part that actually mattered, sends military attachés from France, Britain, and Italy to stand there and watch it happen. Not take anybody's word, watch. And Greece went home. Then they investigated, and they put it in writing, and the writing said Greece was in the wrong. 45,000 pounds sterling paid to Bulgaria. 50 dead on the Bulgarian side, and most of them were not soldiers. Bulgarian counts put the Greek losses higher still. 11 days, start to finish. Now, it's a funny story right up until you look at the bill. 50 people, most of them farmers and shopkeepers and children who never in their lives had an opinion about the border. They weren't in the argument, they just lived where the argument was. And here's what I keep coming back to. Every man in this story who reached for a gun made it worse. Every single one. The sentries on the pass. The general in Athens with his 48-hour clock. The only people who did anything that worked were a bunch of Bulgarian officers who got invaded, got their villages taken, got their people killed, and gave the order to stand there and not shoot back. Now that ain't brave in the way we like to tell it. Nobody writes a song about that. But it took more sand than charging would have. Because they understood the thing Pangalos didn't. That border didn't blow up on account of a dog. That border had been packed and primed for 30 years. Treaties and grudges and folks living on the wrong side of a line somebody drew for 'em. The dog didn't start anything. The dog just walked up and knocked. And a man in Athens who was worried about looking weak opened the door. They named it after the dog, the War of the Stray Dog. And I understand why. A dog is a thing you can hold. 30 years of two countries not speaking don't fit in a headline. Nobody ever did write down what became of him. I hope he got home. He's the only one in this whole story who did exactly what he was supposed to do. And that's how it really went. Good neighbors come back. So go on and subscribe, and I'll save you a chair.